Good evening. Thank you for joining me for another video on Intro to Firearms. My name is Joseph Marshall. It is April 22nd, 2025 at 9 o'clock p.m. Today we're going to be talking about field stripping a revolver, the cycle of operations and some of the active components, as well as doing a field strip level clean of the firearm. Just a side note, I have already filmed this once, so it is field level cleaned. But I had to cut the video down due to time constraints, and in order to get the information I need to passed along, I have to refilm it. So I'm going to go through the different steps of cleaning it, and then at the end, clean it again. First things first, we need to make sure that we have a safe workspace. This is a dummy round, no live ammunition in the workspace. The chambers are clear. The cylinder's clear, the barrel's clear, we are ready to rock. Field stripping a revolver is very easy. It's just having the cylinder down in the downward position. Once you're here, you have access to all of the innards of the firearm that you need to in order to clean at the field level. For cycle of operations, the first two steps are feeding and chambering. The only active component of these two steps is the cylinder itself. Feeding is actually loading the rounds. It starts when you put the first one in and ends when you put the last one in. And chambering is very different with revolvers because when all of the chambers are loaded, your firearm is considered chambered. So chambered stops and starts in the same spot. Now you are able to move on to locking. Locking starts when you start manipulating that chamber and ends when it's locked. In addition to the cylinder, you also have the extractor rod, locking nut, and spring as far as active components. Now you're ready to actually go into cocking and firing. Cocking begins when you operate that hammer and pull it back, and ends when it locks. The active components here are the hammer and the cylinder. For firing, it starts when you pull that trigger and the hammer falls, and ends when that hammer strikes the firing pin, igniting that primer. Once all of your ammunition is expended, you are now ready to unlock. For unlocking, you just press the cylinder release forward, and it unlocks the locking bolt down here and allows the cylinder and extracting rod to move freely. This is where unlocking ends and extraction begins. Extraction starts when you manipulate the cylinder and ends when it's in the downward position, ready to be ejected. Ejection starts from this position and ends when the rounds are ejected. All you do to eject the rounds is push in the ejector rod, and what that does is it pushes out the ejector star. The ejector star catches the rims of the rounds and forces them out of the chambers, and we're back to an unloaded firearm. Now, since it's already field stripped, we can go into a field level cleaning. For a revolver, field level cleaning comes in 4 steps. The first step is cleaning the cylinder. You want to clean the faces and you want to clean the outside, get rid of any dirt or debris. The second step is going to be the forcing cone and barrel right here. The third step is going back to the cylinder and getting inside the chambers, as well as the extractor rod and the extractor star. You want to make sure to get the extractor star recess underneath here, because a lot of carbon builds up underneath there. And if this is pushed too far out, it won't allow you to close the chamber. So it needs to be clear of debris. That being said, that completes the third step, and the fourth step is the recoil plate, which houses your firing pin and the other innards there. So with that being said, I'm going to real quickly go through the motions and clean this using Carbon Destroyer, and then I will be oiling the metal on metal rotating parts to include the crane, the ejector rod itself, and where the cylinder spins on the ejector rod. All right, that concludes the field strip level clean. Just a note on the inactive parts of the cycle of operations. So why are some parts inactive and why are they there when it comes to the cycle of operations if they are not active? Well, that's because they are required for the firearm to work as a whole. However, they're not moving during a specific period in the cycle of operations. So, for example, unlocking, you have, this whole part from the cylinder release to the cylinder to the ejector rod to the locking bolt and spring, but the only two parts that are actually moving are the release and that locking bolt. Everything else is stationary, so it's just inactive, but it's there because you do need those parts. You do need the cylinder to do other stuff. You do need the extractor rod to do other stuff, just not during that part of the cycle. Thank you for joining me for this video. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop a comment in the box. I'll get back to each and every one of you. Thank you. See you next week.